you came from a fanatical Muslim background, growing up in a family and a community that was radical. We speak about radical Muslim and fanaticism. Can you tell us a little bit about your life then and where you came from?
Initially, my background, my grandparents weren't radical, my parents weren't radical, but there was a real stream of anti-Semitism within the community. And even with my grandparents, my father was particularly extreme in his anti-Semitism. He praised Hitler and his extermination of the Jews. I saw the community gradually radicalise as I was growing up, when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, and I then became radicalised myself. You know, I had all these ideas floating around when I was young, and when you get to an age and it sometimes takes something to connect the dots and you think, okay, this makes sense. And at my most radical, which would have been at university, I was handing out leaflets, you know, calling Israel an apartheid state. Israel is, you know, using Palestinian babies' bones to make matzah, all these kind of crazy things, and attending protests. I mean, in London, even now, we have Al-Quds Day rallies where people are waving Hamas and Hezbollah flags and chanting death to Israel. You know, and I was, any opportunity I could vilify Israel and kind of further the ideal of radical Islam, which is ultimately, it's a supremacist movement. It's global supremacy for this radical ideology. And I got to a point in my life when I felt I've done all I can really do. Maybe the only way forward is to go to a jihadist training camp, and maybe fighting is the only language that, you know, our enemies understand.
360-degree turnaround for you. That's a major change.
It was meant to be, you know, a quick 1 week of research to debunk what I'd read. 2 years later, I was really confused about my beliefs. Went to Israel, and when you see something physically in front of you, you see the truth, it's very difficult not to then accept it. And then I just felt it was almost obligated on me personally, I felt, to speak out against the hatred, speak out against the radicalism, and kind of, well, tell the truth basically.
Your change of heart couldn't have made you very popular.
I do get threats, friends have fallen out with me, there are issues with family, but you just have to kind of get on with it. I sincerely believe what I believe, and I'm so much happier in believing that and not having this hatred. And if I can stop one person, just one person, not feeling the hatred and anger and going down the path I went down, look, for that, that's a success for me.
How can we stop the hate?
That's a great question. We have to build bridges between communities. I mean, one of the biggest effects for me was why I fell so deeply into anti-Semitism was I knew no one Jewish. I'd never spoken to anybody Jewish. I mean, the first time I'd spoken to anyone Jewish or Israeli was when I was in Israel. So it's so important to have these links between communities where we can actually see each other as humans, you know, as friends, as neighbours, as colleagues, and then we can have these conversations about the really difficult aspects.
I'm sure you've met people who, as you said, want to kill you and want to hug you.
Yesterday in Johannesburg, somebody came up to me after and went, you know, the whole time you were talking I thought, we need to find him a nice Jewish girl. And I think I've come to the conclusion that we're way more similar than we should be, you know, especially for me as somebody from a Pakistani, South Asian background. Look, Pakistanis are always late. I've never been to a Jewish event which has started on time, you know. We cater well, and, you know, everybody at every single communal event, it's, you're going to be getting married soon, have you thought about marriage? So there's a lot of similarities. So, you know, it's definitely added to my life in a positive way. It's given me kind of a great insight into another really rich, vibrant, and at times very crazy culture.